Welcome to Thriving in the Game, a podcast dedicated to exploring what Black women need to navigate the corporate world of technology, offering insights, strategies, and personal stories that will affirm, validate, and encourage you on your journey up the corporate ladder. I'm your host, Alicia. Join me as we learn how to thrive together. Low-key, whenever I hear brand now, it makes me think of all the TikTok and IG influencers and their brand deals. But I've come to realize that brands are so much more than what you're selling. A brand establishes trust. Even as I produce this podcast, I recognize the value in having a brand, one that is authentic, unique, and actually resonates with you, the audience. A brand that is connection and community driven, one that is synonymous with affirmation, validation, and encouragement. So when I came across Toni Brown via the Entreprenista League, I just knew I had to speak with her. There was so much of Toni's story that I resonated with. As a brand strategist, entrepreneur, and speaker for over a decade, Toni has not only created an authentic and passionate brand for herself, but she also continues to successfully create bold, unique, personalized brand strategies that amplify her clients' impact and expertise. And after last episode's exploration of values, I really wanted to get her perspective. We started off the conversation with the question, how can early career Black women begin to establish their own compelling, powerful brands while also building their corporate tech careers?
One thing that I failed to do when I started my career was to journalize. So to journal what happens every day, the lessons you learn, the wins, the fails, because that becomes a basis for how you remember where you came from. When you're building your personal brand, a lot of that draws from your stories, your narratives, lessons, and failures. It's important to write down moments in time of who you are and what's going on. Also, keeping in mind that the talents and skills that you have, you're bringing them to a job. So when you're building your personal brand, there's still your skills, there's still your talent. You can turn that into a business. If you are in human resources or something like that, you might not want to be an independent human resource consultant as a business. You might want to be somebody that helps job seekers. So be a resume writer or something that is along those lines. I would also think about networking. Now that there's so much available to early stage career women and even women that are already in corporate America, network laterally, network vertically, and try to connect with people that can help you on your journey. Of course, it's not a using type of thing, like I'm going to see what I'm going to get out of this person. It always is an exchange, but try to find people that can assist you on your journey. I know I definitely had a design mentor. He just found me in a LinkedIn group and he helped me for about a year learn how to code with WordPress and learning how to use frameworks instead of templates. And he really taught me a lot. So I would just connect with people on your journey that can guide you and assist you. Don't try to do it alone because you're going to spend time, money, and energy. Just think about how you can supercharge whatever you're doing if you have the right guidance.
Let me go back to something you said. If we look at that example of you're in human resources and maybe you don't want to necessarily be a consultant, but there's opportunity for you to leverage those skills. I want to dig into that. So one, do you see a difference between a personal brand and a professional brand?
It depends on the person.
Okay.
So when I think of a professional brand, I think of somebody that's working in corporate America and trying to establish themselves inside of the company to position themselves for more opportunities.
Right.
But they might also have a desire to serve outside of their company. That's kind of where the climate is going for people, especially since jobs are not certain. People have to rely on their own skills and merit. But a personal brand is something that whether you're inside of corporate America or not, you have. I just made a post about that yesterday that said that personal branding isn't only for celebrities. If you're a person, you're already a personal brand because people are already perceiving who you are when they meet you. That's what a brand is. A brand is not like who you are or what you do. It is how other people perceive you. And so we're all being perceived in different ways. But we go from being like this person to a personal brand when you become the asset and the person that people come to for a thing, now you have to shape that perception that people have because people think a lot of things about you that aren't even true. And so when you're building your personal brand, you want to make sure that you're shaping yourself and packaging yourself so that what you want people to believe and know about you is actually what they know and believe about you.
That's good. I like how you delineate that it's perception. And I also like your distinction in terms of what people are coming to you for. So it's not just social media, the influencer type of branding. It's like you said, you have this person who is a human resources expert, or they've had a successful career in that, but now they're positioning themselves for resume writing or that type of guidance. And so what I hear you saying is you have to ensure that people are perceiving you with that knowledge and that expertise.
Yes, exactly. Because there are a lot of people that say they can do a thing, but they can't. Along with building an authentic personal brand, now you have capability to add to credibility. So those two things have to exist. You have to be capable and then you have to be positioned. It has to be in the right type of packaging. And those two things lead to credibility. So authenticity plus capability equals credibility and then visibility. I know for me, every time somebody looks up my name, I want it to be associated with excellence. And so it's not okay for me to just have social media because when it goes down, you don't have anything. You have your existing relationships, you have your email address, people can still get in touch with you. But if you're not on the internet, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Of course, if you have long-standing relationships with people, but when you're talking about early stage career women or even women that have existing careers and they've really been in the trenches, they don't have time for social media. They don't have time for being public. And then they want to transition. And then they look up and say, I've done all this great work, but my name isn't anywhere. So even if somebody is starting early stage or trying to transition, it's never too early or too late to actually position your personal brand. People are going to see what you allow them to see. If you don't share it, they won't know it. A lot of women fear being out in front of their business because they don't want people in their business. And I know that was me. I was like, I don't want people in my business. But it's curated. It's authentic, but it's curated. You allow people to see what you want them to see. So when it comes to personal branding, it's not just you showing up and being all out there. You can position and package so that people can really digest you in a way where they understand your impact.
I love that you say curated. I think young women have to be much more conscious now because everything is recorded and they really have to curate this professional view. And so that also brings me back to personal character. So for example, you said, if I search Coach Toni, you want that associated with excellence. What are the practical ways of just making sure that alignment is there, right? Because it could have just been you were out there having fun. Now you're trying to curate this professional brand. Like, how do you marry those things?
Well, I would not shy away from the past. The past definitely shapes who we are and what we want for ourselves in the future. So for me, I grew up in a time where there were no cameras, no social media. So we had our fun. We used to hang out in DC. We went to the Go-Go's. We did all of that, but there was nothing on camera. And honestly, there was nothing to film anyway because my mother raised me right. But if they're going into career or even going into having their own personal brand, I wouldn't shy away from those stories and own the story. Nobody can ever come to you and say, well, I saw you doing this. Okay. And that was a moment in time and I have grown and I've matured and that lets me know that I don't ever want to be that again. So if you're judging me based on that, then perhaps this isn't the right opportunity anyway. So owning your story and being unapologetic, even about your mistakes, apologize to people, have regret for bad actions, but not letting somebody who's trying to use your past or your story against you to put you in a box or to prevent you from moving further. I don't agree with that. That's why I think that personal branding, you want to have that as the backbone of who you are, because it's not just having a nice website or having good pictures. It's about having the type of message that correlates to what it is that you are doing or passionate about. The first thing that came to mind is blogging, writing on Medium, writing on LinkedIn, talking about experiences like that messaging that you're putting out there. A lot of young women, they post pictures of them having fun and dressing cute and things like that. But I always say that even with those type of posts, talk about why you were there. What were you doing? I'm having fun with my girls. I deserve it. I work 9 to 5. I'm all about being transparent. I'm not all about telling on your business, but it's like nobody can ever use anything against you if you own it. And if you've already talked about it, what is there to say? It's already been discussed. Okay. You're interviewing me for a job. I know you looked me up. I know you saw this, but I've already discussed that. It's really irrelevant to the job. And just having the power to understand that there's more jobs, there is a role or a niche for everyone. So I think that part of even owning your story is not letting it define your future. It's a part of your past, but don't let it define you, and not letting it define how people treat you or if they put you in a box. Not letting it stop opportunities. Like if that opportunity doesn't work, then there's other opportunities. And at the end of the day, you can turn yourself into whatever you want to turn yourself into and market it and build a business around yourself.
As we continued talking, I wanted to learn more about Toni's brand and how she's been able to own her story.
I consider myself like a tough love brand strategist. And my clients, they do say that I'm tough, but it's with love. And what that means is we collaborate. Your ideas are definitely important to the project. I consider your ideas, but if there are things that you want to do that are not in alignment or they wouldn't go over well with your audience, I'm going to advise you. I'm going to say, I don't think that you should do that. If you want to do it, okay, I'm going to let you do it, but you'll find that you should not have done it. I'm not always smiling. I'm a serious person, but that could label me, being mean. She's unapproachable. And I'm okay with that because everything out there about me is not going to support your feelings. So your perception of me is not accurate. I think that trying to mask or pretend that you're something that you're not going to be able to keep that up. So why even start? I know my mother used to say, start how you want to finish everything. Relationships, jobs, everything. My mother worked for the government for over 30 something years and she owned her job. She used to say, I don't work for you, I work with you. And when you have that mindset, nobody can ever put you into a place where it's like you need them. It's a means to an end, but it's still me. Defining your own worth in those situations where people try to malign you or try to stop you from getting opportunities. You know that you're worth more than that, so you're not going to allow it.
I know, even from my own experience, that was one of the phrases that people would say, oh, you're unapproachable, or I can't read you. You're not smiling. And I did develop a mask, and it does get tiring of coming in and I'm smiling because I'm trying to make you comfortable, and not to the point where I felt like I was fully stepping away from myself. But by the end of the day, I'm exhausted. Or if you catch me on a day where I'm maybe sick or frustrated, like you're not going to get the same persona. It's still a part of me, but I don't have time to deal with these feelings y'all got. You don't need to worry about why I'm smiling or not smiling. We have a job to do. But I know it is harder, especially when you're coming in early in your career and you are, for some trying to establish a path to leadership. So I do think there is a balance. And so how do you balance? Like you said, I have a tough love approach, but I'm still early in my career and I'm establishing myself. So maybe what are practical ways to balance the two?
It depends on the environment. I mean, there are parts of you that you can activate, and then just understanding why you are there. If it's to get a check and you're not really passionate about the job, then just do the job. If you're in an environment where, people just want to talk and see how your weekend is, just know this is part of wisdom. Just know that your coworkers are not your friends. So you can tell them, I had a great weekend, and leave it at that. You're not being mean. You're not unapproachable. You're even engaged in the conversation. Let other people talk. And I had to learn that myself, that you can still be friendly at work so they won't label you as this and that and third. And you're not being fake. You're just activating a different part of your personality. I think it's important just to understand that there are different parts of yourself that you can activate without compromising integrity or your values.
I think it is helpful to understand you're not being fake, but you are activating a different part of yourself. Now, in some ways, it can still be a little draining at the end of the day, but I think that's just part of navigating your career. We talk about thriving in the game. In order for you to thrive, you still have to be transparent, but you don't have to give all of you. You can participate in the conversation. You can ask about Sarah's dog because it gives the friendly, but you're still protecting who you are and getting a check. I was reading, it's a Harvard Business Review article. I think, hopefully I'm saying her name correctly, Nahia Orduna. She explores how to build your personal brand at work. One of the things she mentioned was that every time she changed roles, whether it was factors within her control or outside of that, she felt like she had to prove who she was and start all over again. And so that was really interesting to me because as I gleaned from what you've said, if you have work that is already visible, especially in this day and age of social media, if you've been writing Medium articles, if you've been active on LinkedIn and created a community around your brand, I think that becomes less of an issue. But I'm curious as to what are your thoughts? Are you having to reestablish your brand every time you go to a different company?
I had my job for a really, really long time. And this idea of personal branding, it just didn't exist. At the base of the word personal brand is the word person. Of course, if you're in a new role and you have to learn new skills, that's different. Even if your job allows you to wear jeans, for example, for me, I wouldn't wear jeans to work. I don't care if it's casual Friday. I'm not wearing jeans. I'm going to have on some nice pants and a top. It's just my personal standard. I think having a personal standard is important when you are moving from job to job. What you will do, what you won't do. I want to make sure they understand that they've made the right choice. I'm a professional and I'm going to show up that way. I know my mother used to always say, don't dress the job have, just the job want. How you come across and how you look is definitely important to establishing yourself as a person, as an individual at work. And it won't be anything too far-fetched because you've already done it in other roles anyway. So I think just making sure that you have your own personal and professional standard about how you show up. Like I always tell this story, and it's such a small thing, but it has impacted me to this day. And I went to a networking event and I was so proud of myself because it was like a little conference/networking event in DC. And I tried so hard, but I had on jeans, a colorful shirt, and a white blazer and curly hair. But for some reason, this pointer nail broke. And I couldn't get it fixed in time. I don't know what happened, but I was talking to one of the speakers and she was there with her husband. She was so cute. She was together. She was well-spoken. And when she was talking to me, she was holding my hands at the same time. And she noticed that I didn't have that nail on. And from that point on, it didn't matter what else we discussed. She focused on that one nail being broken. And that put in me my personal standard for when I show up. I'm never going to have a nail broken again because I wear my nails long. I mean, it's a staple at this point. I will never have my nails broken again, so much so that I even taught myself how to do my own nails. When you have those type of standards of appearance and dress and grooming and behavior, no matter what job you go to, you're still the person. You don't have to reestablish anything because you're already showing up how you want them to see you anyway.
It's interesting because I don't know if you've seen the young lady that was on social media. She showed up to an interview with shorts on. Yes, it's summertime. Yes, some places are more relaxed. And by more relaxed, they may say we're business professional versus professional, which is usually like black or navy suit type of thing. But it's been a very interesting divide, I will say somewhat generationally, but sometimes I've had younger generation folks say, well, this is me. It's authentic to me and we're not as stuffy as we used to be. But in my mind, I always show up with a level of professionalism as if it were my company. So if Coach Toni walked at the door and this was Alicia's company, I want you to perceive me with a certain level of professionalism. And I just think that sometimes as young people are establishing their brands, they conflate professional and personal, even in certain networking circles, right? It can be a little different. But when you are talking about your professional brand, how you are showing up to the office, really think about how you're being perceived. Although I don't think she really responded well to it. The recruiter even suggested, how about we reschedule? So they're trying to give you an opportunity to fix it. But with the way that she was posting online, I don't think she received it. And so I think in situations like that, it hurts my feelings to see Black women take this level of authenticity to a point that it's just, from my opinion, it's just no longer professional.
I definitely would have to agree with that. And as a mother of a 23-year-old, I raised my daughter old fashioned. I taught her to wear slips under her dresses. I still wear slips under my dresses. No ripples, dimples, pimples, blimples, none of that popping through your clothes. It's just not decorum. But I think that on social media, there are a lot of women that make a living off of letting it all hang out. And you have other women watching you and they don't understand that your lifestyle and what you're showing on social media might just be for social media. You might not even be that person in real life. You see somebody, on the outside, so you can't model your behavior after what you see online. I think that's why it's important to have mentors in those spaces because, a lot of parents, like my mom, she wasn't an entrepreneur. So, if she was still alive today, she probably wouldn't understand the entrepreneur hustle. So with, say young Black women growing up, because I'm a Black mom, they don't always have the mentors. Their parents can be great parents, but it's different. Having a mentor that's focused on helping you navigate in your career or being a sounding board and just that person taking responsibility and accountability. You can look on Pinterest and look up what to wear in a job interview and you will not see shorts. It's not a judgment. It's not an attack. This is just a conversation that we're having. But I always think about if you went to court and you're trying to convince the court that you're innocent, you're trying to make a good impression. What would you wear? You wouldn't wear shorts. You wouldn't wear a bodycon dress. You wouldn't wear flip-flops. Like, it's just not good form. But that's why it's important that for early stage career women, that they have those mentors and that they listen. These are people that have been where you're trying to go. They're trying to get you up on game to help you to fulfill your goals. And being authentic doesn't mean, well, either they're going to take it this way or whatever. That's not being authentic. That's being stubborn. And it's not being mindful. It's not very demure. And you have to have some dignity about yourself. You have to have that excellence. There's a place and time for everything. Part of advancing is knowing how to navigate in those different circles. That mentorship and listening and being accountable and taking responsibility is very important for your growth.
And I think just as much as you're perceived in terms of your character, you're perceived visually, especially in corporate tech, where it is a very male-dominated industry. So it's just something you have to be conscious of.
Right. And then part of personal branding is in answering the question, what do you want to be known for? Do you want to be known as somebody who people can count on, is reliable, trustworthy, professional, mindful, or do you want to be the opposite of that? That's a huge part of branding, is being able to answer that question. What do you want to be known for?
I think a lot about that. It's something that, as you said, having mentors throughout my career that were helpful in even helping my mind shift that way, knowing that I wanted to be a leader, like how you walk away from me, what was our interaction like? Even if it was a tense conversation, even if I was frustrated, just in terms of my professional brand, I believe in respect. I established that very early in my career. I had one manager yell at me, I yelled back, and we didn't do that anymore. And I think I was 24 at the time. We're not going to yell at me. That's just something I don't do. But just as much as I demand respect, I give respect. Probably about 10 years ago, I was working with a company and it was a customer service team. Their manager was somebody who had been there for a long time. There were some things that needed to happen and her team was just like, I don't want to. So that's what she told me. She's like, well, they just don't want to. And I was like, what you mean? And I snapped out loud. Like, what do you mean? Aren't you? And I literally went back to her and I said, that is not how I communicate. You don't deserve that. She's like, no, don't worry. I was like, no. I do need to apologize because I don't ever want you to feel like I'm going to be unprofessional with you. And I think that won her over in a lot of ways. Eventually, it really did aid our relationship, but it was because in terms of just being professional, establishing like, I'm a respectful person. I'm going to respect you. I want respect back. And if I realize that I've stepped outside of that, you know that I'm going to come and apologize and make it right. And I don't mean letting it go for a week or so. Within 30 minutes, I was back in her face. And I think that has helped relationships as I've just continued to develop professionally. And I think that's key for young women to understand that.
Yeah, I have a personal code. And I do have to say a lot comes from my mom, because I had an older mom. And so she just instilled things in me that I just will never forget. And if I really sat down to think about it, it has informed my life and it's good principles. It all contributes to personal branding. Even with how I relate to my clients, I always say whenever somebody Googles you, it should be associated with excellence. Not a website from 1989 or no website or LinkedIn page that you haven't posted in a year. And people want to know that you're current. Your audience, when they're looking for opportunities and people to hire and book, they want to know that you're on top of your game. And whether you're making money or not, it's not about that. Are you setting yourself up for new opportunities? Are you preparing your future legacy now with setting up those components that people are going to want to see? I don't even entertain anyone that I'm going to pay to do anything if they don't have a website. Because to me, that means that you can just take my money and run. I can't contact you. There's no policies. There's no recourse. It just doesn't seem legit, and don't have a website that you haven't updated in I don't know how long. It's important to have those things that you are going to need as you continue to grow as a professional, as a person, as somebody building a personal brand. And it's really not going anywhere. I mean, celebrities have had personal brands forever, but they also have marketing teams that can help them with that. Just because you're not a celebrity doesn't mean that you can't have a team to help you build your personal brand.
Throughout our conversation, like you've had mentors, you've had someone help you in terms of establishing your professional style. There are certain standards that you've established for yourself, making sure we don't have a broken nail, even if you have to learn how to fix it yourself.
I'm telling you, these nails that you see here, I did these myself.
Oh, and they look good too. I think those are the things that early career Black women, or even women who are transitioning into tech, into the corporate life, you really have to establish your team. But is there anything else that, as we think about those young women, are there any resources that you would recommend to establish a personal and maybe even a curated professional brand that will set them up for success?
Well, I think it starts with self-reflection, even answering questions like, what do I want to be known for? When I die, what do I want my obituary to say? Where do I want to be in 5 years? Like writing these things out. And I think slowing down, taking stock of where you are and taking in those moments. Because I know that for me, when I was building my personal brand, it was like, we got to go to this networking event. We have to do this. We have to do that. And you're so busy trying to market yourself and reach for different opportunities that you're not taking in those lessons and you're not experiencing your life. Slow down. And we talked about it a lot, but work on your appearance. Just make sure that that version of your style is elevated and surround yourself with the right type of people. It's hard for somebody to understand your journey if they're not even going through that with you. Have different friend groups. Everybody is not for everything. So having a support network that can help you on your way in your career. And of course, you know, one thing that I didn't learn until later on is to care for yourself. So along with caring about your appearance, care for yourself. Rest, take a nap, eat well, go outside, get some exercise, be a well-rounded person. Travel a little bit. They say when you travel, you find yourself. You discover different things about yourself. And that don't necessarily mean like a girl's trip. I mean, just like seeing different things, experiencing different things and build confidence within you. Because that's ultimately what you're going to need, confidence. Whether you're navigating a new career space or you're transitioning in a new space, you need confidence.
Defining your brand is up to you. You are the curator of how others perceive you and your expertise. So take control of it. You shape your narrative, so own it. Invest time and reflection in defining your message. What is it? How do you want people to see you? How do you envision your brand creating opportunities for you in the future? Start with capturing your accomplishments, your lessons learned, and then write about them, post about them. Snatch up that domain name and create a website. Let your LinkedIn reflect your resume and you as a thought leader. Then seek out opportunities to develop and mature your perspective. Leverage those opportunities to network and build your team of like-minded peers, mentors, coaches, and sponsors. Like Coach Toni said, you don't have to go at this alone. One of the hardest lessons I've had to learn is that in order to thrive in the game, you still have to play the game. Learn how to activate the different parts of you and how to navigate in different circles. Let them expand your horizons, not diminish you. You can respect the rules and culture of the game, but still bring your own flair. You are uniquely, wonderfully made, and what you bring and the way you do it is both needed and necessary in the world of corporate technology, and your brand should always reflect that. For those of you interested in working with Coach Toni, I asked her to share a bit more about her work, to fill us in on some of the things she's working on, and how you can get connected.
Well, you can reach me at brandcoachtoni.com, or that's my website. I am on LinkedIn under Miss Toni S. Brown. I'm on Instagram as Brand Coach Toni. I work with women in corporate America to help them build personal brands in terms of brand messaging, strategy, brand identity, visual identity, web design, and then reputation management. I also have a program with My sister, who's also an entrepreneur, she's a lifestyle and operations strategist. We have a program called Grow Up Mastermind that is designed to help women grow up their businesses. A lot of women say, my business is my baby, but they never allow their business to grow past the infant stage. So during that program, we help them grow their business from the infant stage from a branding perspective and from an operational perspective. So we're going into cohort 2 for the fall. And also I am going through Goldman Sachs 1 Million Black Women program soon. So I will have even more wisdom and knowledge and education added to my belt to be able to share with others.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate the wisdom and just the fun that I've had in talking to you. And thank you for being here, sharing your knowledge, and I appreciate your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Take some time to reflect on what you heard here. Be sure to follow us on IG and subscribe to our newsletter on Substack. Find us at Thriving in the Game on both. If you have a comment or recommendation, DM or email me. You can find my email in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you as we build community around thriving in the game. Until next time, take care.